and what was going to be, and of course we came and we see now exactly what is to be, and it's terrific. And thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for taking time out to do this. So before I begin, I just want to do some acknowledgments of people who are here with us today. I wanted to recognize, and we are in the 11th Assembly District, Assemblywoman Kimberly Jean-Pierre. Also in his Senate district, recognize Senator John Brooks, State Senator John Brooks. We are joined by our friend from the West, Assemblyman Chuck Levine. Chuck, thank you for coming. You'll hear from her a little bit later on, but I do want to thank and congratulate and welcome to Suffolk County. Steve said it was okay, you can come in. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran. Also, we're joined by, and we're in his legislative district, the presiding officer of the county legislature, Legislator Dwayne Gregory. We'll also hear from Phil Ang in a little bit, and I want to thank him for being here and thank him for his leadership on this project. Jano Lieber, who's the Chief Development Officer for the MTA. A big supporter of double track and the third track, and he's been guiding a lot of these projects through. My good friend Kevin Law, the President and CEO of the Long Island Association. My super good friend, because he is my therapist when I need a therapist, and I have to tell you that we're lucky to have the workforce that we do, and I know Phil would agree with me. The Long Island Railroad workforce really goes out of their way to make sure that the customers, our residents, are traveled safely back and forth to their destination. And I want to give a shout out to Anthony Simon and all the men and women that make up labor. We're also joined by Mitch Paley, who is the president of the Long Island Builders Institute. This gentleman was the mayor of Greenport, and now he is my email friend. He has led the charge in terms of all of these projects important to Long Island and our economic development and well-being. Dave Capel, who's the executive director of the Right Track Coalition. This wouldn't be possible if we in the town of Babylon and the county of Suffolk didn't have great partners who are doing the development here. And I have to tell you that when I first came back as town supervisor in 2012, Steve introduced me to Russ Albanese, and the Albanese organization took a leap of faith and signed up with the town of Babylon and the county of Suffolk to do this project here. And as you can see and drive through, if you haven't been here in a while, you look around in amazement as to what has happened in the transformation. And a lot of that is due to the leadership of Russ Albanese and Chris Albanese from the Albanese organization. And of course, this has been done by the men and women of labor on Long Island. Roger Clayman, who's the president of the Long Island Federation of Labor, AFL-CIO, is here with Roger. Thank you, Roger. Representing the commuters, those are the people who we have to do the right thing by. And Mark Epstein, who's the chair of the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council, is here. Thanks, Mark. And finally, I want to thank all the community residents who are here, because they're probably the most important guests who have joined us. And the community residents are the people who have been standing by for years and years and years. A couple of weeks ago, we dedicated the plaza right outside here to a fellow by the name of Delano Stewart. And those of you who are from the Wyandanch community or have had any interaction with the Wyandanch community know that Delano Stewart was really, back in the 1980s, talking about transit-oriented development. He said to me when I was a young county legislator, you've got to do something at the Wyandanch train station, and if you do it, they will come. And for years and years and years, he talked about it, and we worked hard. We did several things here, but I have to give Delano full credit, because 20, 30 years before everyone was talking about transit-oriented development, Delano Stewart was. So I want to give a round of applause in memory of Delano and have Delano serve as a representative for all of the community leadership that is here today. please keep him, and I see, oh, there's Ann Stewart, his wife, is here, and I want to keep Delano in our thoughts and prayers, and particularly Ann, who is carrying on the mission of what Delano set out back in the 1980s. Thank you, Ann. So I want to, today, thanks to the leadership of Governor Cuomo and his administration, we're taking another step forward to complete transformation of the Long Island Railroad. In my opinion, that is what leadership is all about. Taking on the most difficult issues and the issues that matter most to the people in our community. Since Governor Cuomo and Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul took office, they have been committed to tackling the toughest challenges on Long Island, and all you've got to do is look around here. This has been talked about for years and years and years. They talked about it, and then they got it done, and didn't take no for an answer. So the governor and the lieutenant governor and their administration are investing in transportation infrastructure, water quality, and the environment, and they've stood with us during the most trying of times, whether it be Hurricane Sandy or the threat of MS-13. And the lieutenant governor just came from a heart-wrenching funeral for a woman by the name of Evelyn Rodriguez, who has spent the last 2 years of her life not only grieving her daughter and her death, but also now is dead herself as a result of the violence brought on by MS-13. And we'll hear from the Lieutenant Governor in a little bit. So we're grateful for you taking your time out today. We're grateful for all of the people of the Long Island Railroad doing their part in this effort. And we're going to talk about some of the milestones that we've reached here today. And I have to tell you, Deputy Supervisor Tony Martinez, who's with me, and I were just standing outside, and Tony's been our GC on this project. He thought this was like building a garage. He didn't realize is exactly what we were doing here, but Tony has been night and day, not only a resident of Wheatley Heights right down the block, but also a standout leader. And the lieutenant governor came over to us when she walked up, and I could still see she was shaken from coming from the funeral in paying her respects and paying the governor's respects to the family of Evelyn Rodriguez. But she said this is a nice break from what we just had to go through, and let this be a remembrance for what Evelyn stood for and what we all need to continue to do to make sure that we protect the quality of life here on Long Island. And that's what this does. It protects and improves the quality of life, and that's why we're able to be here today to celebrate. So I wanted to introduce our good friend. He was there with us during Sandy at the DOT, and now he is leading the Long Island Railroad, Phil Ang. Phil?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Richie. It's a pleasure to be here. And as Richie said, I wouldn't be standing here without the dedication of a lot. Obviously, the leadership of Governor Cuomo is something that is a key to why I'm here and why all of you are here. The investment, the attention to infrastructure rebuilding across New York State, not just here on Long Island, has been one of the most exciting times of my career, and I have the pleasure of being here today. But you know, under his leadership, he brings together everybody that Richie Schaefer talked about, from the local elected officials, from our labor leaders who support these types of efforts and these projects, to the men and women of Long Island Railroad who work tirelessly around the clock to deliver this, to the civic groups, then to the business community, and to everyone else involved in making sure that when these projects are delivered, they meet the needs of not only the local area, but the greater needs of Long Island and the greater needs of New York. It is a great day to be here, and I'm going to get right into it then. So, under the governor's leadership, like I said, never have we seen infrastructure rebuilding and building as we are today. It is bold, it's aggressive, and it's not only looking at making investments for today, it's making investments for future generations. Decades, we've seen how lack of investment has resulted in the conditions we're faced with. Lack of investment has resulted in us not having the infrastructure we need to provide the level of service that people expect and deserve. Here on Long Island Railroad, the busiest commuter railroad in the nation, it needs investment. We have 89 million commuter rides a day, 700 miles of track, 89 million a year. 89 million a day would be really challenged. 700 million miles of track. The system is old. Our switches are old. Power substations, we need more of them. We have components. We have cars 40 years old or greater. It is time for that investment, and that's why we're here today. We haven't been expanding along with the island. We haven't been expanding with the communities. Our system is 184 years old, and it needs to be brought into the future, and that's why we're here today. With the lack of investment, we've seen our system shrink. We've removed track, we've moved sidings, we've removed stations because of the inability to maintain and keep those systems, but no longer. Penn Station, another major hub in New York City, but a key destination for many of our commuters. It was designed to accommodate only 250,000 people. Today, it's overwhelmed. 650,000 travelers go through Penn Station, and just as the note says, it's more than LaGuardia, Newark, JFK combined. It's an amazing figure to talk about, and it's amazing that it demonstrates just how much investment is needed. Again, it's time for Long Island Railroad to build and move into the future. We need to grow, and we need to enable the population of Long Island to grow with it. It's gone from nearly 1 million people to over 2.9 million people in the island. It is something that relies on mass transit, and getting around reliably is huge to everybody. And we know it because we see it on our roads and bridges. As Richie mentioned, I had worked previously with the Department of Transportation. I know from my days there, you cannot build enough highways, you cannot build enough bridges to get the congestion. It needs to be a balanced transportation system. That means not only cars, buses, mass transit like trains, bicycles, pedestrians, and on Car-Free Day, as we celebrate today, there's no better time to be talking about mass transit. It is the way to go, and it's a proud day for all of us. Long Island Expressway, again, it was built to handle only 80,000 vehicles a day. Today it carries more than 200,000 vehicles. It is taxed to the limit. We all know it. We drive it, and you get stuck in traffic, but it's a combination of working together. Investing in Long Island is important. It is about the quality of life that exists here. Everybody's busy. Every minute counts. It's very important that we do everything we can to make sure that the investment going on is put to best use. It is about improving quality of life for everybody. And that's why we have this major investment in Long Island Railroad. It's over $6 billion, and that is a historic figure. And it is a tremendous, without the governor's leadership, we would not be talking about all the investment going on. And that investment will transform Long Island Railroad. It will make it a modern Long Island Railroad. And it really encompasses every sector from the east end to the west end, 100 projects. It is touching every area that needs to be touched. So here today, we're talking about double track. It is a phenomenal first piece of these 100 projects. We wouldn't be standing here, as I mentioned earlier, and I'd like to give another round of applause to everyone here in the room, from our elected officials to our labor leaders and to the men and women of Long Island Railroad. They work tirelessly. Who work tirelessly to round the clock to deliver this project. And it's not about talk, it's about doing, and that's why we're here. Double track project from Ronkonkoma to Farmingdale. It is a testament to all the hard effort, determination of the folks in this room and the folks that worked on this project. 18-mile stretch, 48,000 Long Island Railroad riders each day. And can you imagine, when we just had one track, one incident on that track would mean we'd have to shut down service, would mean we'd have no ability to move people east or west if an incident occurred. It was time to stop talking, it was time to deliver, and it's time to take action. So back in 2014, this project started construction. It was actually scheduled to be done in December of 2019. Under the governor's leadership, we found a way to accelerate this project, found a way to deliver it earlier. That means the benefits from the project, our customers, the communities, will reap those benefits more than 15 months ahead of schedule. Those types of efforts demonstrate why infrastructure investment is the right thing to do. It also shows that we can deliver when given the opportunity. Behind me, a picture of the Mario Cuomo Bridge. It is also another testament to legislation passed by the governor that gave state agencies the ability to use alternative project delivery. Design build has been something that is successful in Mario Cuomo Bridge. We led the way with finding ways to streamline environmental processes. We led the way with finding a way to streamline the procurement process, and projects like that, Monument, the largest infrastructure project in the country, delivered on time, on budget. True testament to that, and there's projects like that across the state, whether it's Javits Center, whether it's JFK, whether it's LaGuardia, whether it's Kosciuszko Bridge, which I had the opportunity to work on. All of these things, including double track, design, build, alternative procurement, and it's something where working with industry and the women and men of Long Island Railroad, we are finding ways to deliver on our commitments. Using new technology as well. There was 18 miles of track, 13 of new track, 5 miles of track that had to be rehabilitated, new technology to lay that track faster. I mentioned the 13 and 5. And now that it's done, we have the ability to provide not only more reliable service, the ability to respond to incidents, but we'll be able to provide that reverse peak, that ever important thing to Long Island's economy, where now we can entice and encourage people who live in the city to come and work on Long Island, and that reverse commute is going to be a game changer. And double track, a much smoother ride, more reliable service. It's a huge investment, and it's a great time for it. Number of trains in the morning, we'll be able to run more, and we'll be able to run more trains in the evening, and we'll even further benefit once third track is done along the main line. Again, it goes from Farmingdale, Ronkonkoma, but this also enhances our connections out east. And we're just getting started here. A few weeks ago, we broke ground on the third track main line. That goes from Hicksville to Floral Park, another project that has been talked about for decades, and it's finally under construction. It's going on with design build. It's 2022 commitment to deliver. John O'Lever and I know, if you were at the last event, we're not walking to Utah because we successfully delivered here, and we're not intending to walk to Utah because we're going to deliver on third track. It's a But 70 years of talk, it's finally happening under the leadership of the governor. And there you have it, Hicksville, Floral Park. It's about getting things done. New signaling system across our system, power substations, part of the 100 projects, all things essential to improving service. Yards, storage yards, very critical. You can't just add track, you can't just add stations. You need to have yards to be able to operate trains, be able to turn trains. All goes hand in hand. That's why the investment of $6 billion is touching every component of Long Island Railroad. And then the commuter experience. We have 124 stations across the system, and these stations, and we are seeing it, and you're standing in a gem, these stations are representative of what communities feel pride in, and we want communities to feel pride in the railroad. We want them to feel community pride in their station, and that's why it's important that we continue to invest, rebuild, reconstruct, and be able to provide this type of structure, this type of environment for our ridership for the people of Long Island. It's about making these commitments so people can improve their quality of life. I think with that, I'd like to introduce another key leader who has supported us from Buffalo to Long Island, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, you sound real excited. This is a transformational day for Long Island. Can I get a little excitement out there? That's more like it. That's more like it. Thank you, thank you. We have been joined by our county executive, Steve Malone, who, as you are aware, was with me at the funeral service for a number of hours this morning to pay tribute to someone that I believe embodies the spirit of Long Island. You take someone like Evelyn Rodriguez, who has given incredible adversity, tragedy, and just like a typical Long Islander, they take adversity and turn it into a positive. whether you're hit with a superstorm, whether you're hit with transportation challenges, polite way of saying what you've had to deal with here, development pressures, you take it and you turn it into a positive. So I believe that Evelyn's resiliency and ability to harness negativity and put into positiveness was just a great tribute to her. So it was wonderful to be there with her today and her family today, but also to bring that same energy to this room in her name. This is amazing. We talk about commutes. I don't know if I'll get a lot of sympathy if I tell you about my typical commute, but the alarm goes off at 3 a.m. I'm at the airport at 5 a.m. I land at JFK or LaGuardia, and if I'm coming to Long Island, I now have to add about 3 hours to get anywhere, okay? My easiest part was getting here from Buffalo. Then it's Long Island. That's about to change, and that is a challenge. Yes, that is a challenge. It's going to change because for decades, people just threw up with their hands and said, well, that's Long Island. What can you do? Until you got a governor who says that's not good enough. And I've come to know this governor, serving at his hand for 4 years now and hopefully another 4. And I know he loves the bigger the challenges. The bigger the challenge, the more excited he gets. So you can't throw anything too big at Governor Cuomo. Whether it was, as you heard from Phil, the Tappan Zee Bridge, which we were all celebrating with Matilda Cuomo, Hillary Clinton, and others, to do something that others said could not be done. It was just talked about a long time. You come here today, and you see the incredible transformation before our eyes, even this station. It was just a few short years ago when I stood in here with Richie, supervisor, and just we saw the housing, we walked down the streets, we came here, and I'm looking at these plans, I'm like, yeah, when's this going to happen? Well, how often do you hear, not just on time and under budget, which is what we say all the time with Governor Cuomo, how about under budget and 15 months early? That just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. So I'm excited to be here, and when you find about that we need a double track, my naive question is, why didn't they build it that way in the first place? What was so complicated when they first built this to think that you might need more than one track? But we are righting the wrongs of the past, and we are going to get it right. And I'm delighted to be joined with incredible leaders who never gave up on projects like this. And I thank them for just their dedication, and I know that a number of elected officials were acknowledged here, but Steve Ballone, you've been an incredible leader in this as well. Rich Schaefer, supervisor, and Tony Martinez. Where's Tony again? I know you had to keep your hands on this from the very beginning. You've never let go. And our other elected officials, Laura Curran, delighted to see you here as well. I believe your constituents will get excited about these projects. But let me just go through a little more of a presentation to give you a bigger picture about what we're talking about here today and let you know why I'm so happy I'm back. Today we're also cutting, I got to move this down a little bit, we're cutting the ribbon on the Wyandanch Station, which you see looks spectacular. I walk up here, I said, oh my God, this is gorgeous. The old station was outdated and didn't meet the needs of commuters. In fact, I'll describe it as kind of embarrassing. Now, guess what you have? Free Wi-Fi, UV charger ports, LED lighting, security cameras, bicycle racks, digital screens, and customer information totems. I mean, this symbolizes a community on the move. This is a point of pride for people, and that's what I'm so excited to see. You know, typically we see upwards of 6,000 customers a day, and that's, when we talk about transit-oriented development, it sounds like some sort of concept you might learn in school. Not the school I went to, we weren't that sophisticated, but when you think about it, this is what it looks like. This is what transit-oriented development looks like. It is bringing housing close to places where people have transportation to get to their jobs. And so people who do not have luxuries like cars, because you think about someone, whether it's a young person who just wants to continue life on Long Island, even though it's kind of expensive, they want to live here, they might not have a car. They may say, I'm going to get out on my bicycle and use public transportation. I'm going to take the LIRR. They're going to do that. So this is what it allows them to live in an area, have a wonderful, vibrant downtown, and have transportation to go anywhere they want. That's what it looks like, and that's what we're doing here today. From Wyandanch to Mineola to Ronkonkoma, we're seeing investments in downtowns. And I talk about this all over the state, and I do travel every corner every week. And I'm proud of this, because when people in Buffalo want to know what's going on down here, I say, you need to see what they're doing with the housing close to the stations, because it makes all the sense in the world. Combining housing, retail, and commercial recreation development, those are the keys. That's what people are looking for. That's how we're going to keep our young people living right here. And bringing people out from the city who now have an easier commute to the jobs that are being created here. And I know Kevin Law is here as well, representing the business community. We've talked about this a long time, because there are jobs going unfilled here on Long Island. Great jobs, high-paying jobs. And we want to continue teaching people the skills they need to take them if you're a Long Island resident. But if there's a gap, let's make it easier for people to come out here and have a commute, and that's exactly what we're doing. And also the people in the labor community, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for staying with us through some tough times. You've always been there for us, and when you have projects like this that can give men and women good paying jobs, that's just an extra icing on the cake. Not just a project, but it's a good paying job. So downtown revitalization is absolutely the future, and we've been investing not just in the downtowns to bring back that sense of pride and a sense of community, a sense of space, but also the revitalized LIRR is once again the economic engine pulling us into the future. This is an example of what we're doing all over the state. And every president, and I was a member of Congress, everybody talks about infrastructure. Everybody talks about infrastructure. I heard about it in the last presidential election. We're going to have a lot of good infrastructure. I'm not holding my breath on the federal government anymore. I mean, I waited a long time. And I was a local official, like many people here. I was a town council member for 14 years. And we realized we had to rely on ourselves. Because the federal government, despite the fact that there was a time when there was an obligation, a sense of responsibility to provide infrastructure dollars for states and localities back under Senator Moynihan's era, when I worked for him a long time ago, that responsibility has been negated. And so we have to rely on our state government to help out. So everybody talks about our transportation is crumbling, transportation is crumbling. What are we going to do? We're not waiting anymore. This is New York. We're not waiting for anyone to bail us out and to help us anymore. So we have decided we're going to take it into our own hands because the federal government has failed to act. So $100 billion, $100 billion, largest building program in America. And I've been to every one of these places, and even just changing an airport or a station, you don't know what that does to the psyche of a community. For decades, people to see something crumbling, you walk past it, it doesn't mean anything to you. But all of a sudden, you spiff it up, and people are like, wow, that's really something. I live in a great place. So these are the projects we've undertaken all across the state. It is absolutely happening now. It is so exciting. It's a new day. It is a new day. Excelsior, ever upward, and that's where we're going here on Long Island. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, good afternoon. So I have to say I'm feeling very virtuous today. Today, you may know, is Car-Free Day, and my team and I, we took the train from Mineola. And it was 19 minutes, very, very easy. Mineola to here, and then we're going to hop on the train when we're done. You know, it's very hard to get things done on Long Island. I think everybody knows that. I'm sure the county executive knows it. I'm sure the supervisor knows it. But today is such an exciting day because it proves that if you start and you involve people, engage the stakeholders, and just hammer away and hammer away and hammer away, eventually you will get results. And that's incredibly inspiring to me. Oh, and by the way, you have another state senator here. I don't know if you were announced, Senator Phil Boyle, who shares Wyandanch with Senator John Brooks. We've got so many interesting things and exciting things going on Long Island here in Suffolk. And thank you for letting me come to your county this time. I'm always happy to be here. And I have to tell you, I haven't been in Wyandanch in about 20 years. I was a newspaper reporter. I covered a story. I don't even remember what it was. Completely transformed between what Albanese has done with the housing, what's happening here with the double track, really putting Wyandanch on the map. It's very inspiring to me as an elected official. I also just want to point out that, you know, if you can do it, transit-oriented development, we've got to do it. I feel like I say it all the time, anytime I happen to have a microphone. It is the thing that will save us as a region, growing the tax base, keeping the talent, making sure that we have jobs. It's so important. Let's just keep going, hammering away, cheerfully and relentlessly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. You're welcome here anytime. We love having you here. It's pretty special for me to be here today. I first want to acknowledge the Lieutenant Governor who was there for nearly 3 hours with me and other officials, Legislator Berlin, who was there, recognizing somebody who's suffered incredibly, but has been a leader in the battle against MS-13, Evelyn Rodriguez. Governor, thank you for being there, and thank you for today. Thank you to Governor Cuomo. There's so many people to thank, but first and foremost, let me say to the community, Winedance Rising began in 2002, and there's been a lot of wonderful people in this community coming together and fighting and working and striving to achieve the community that they've dreamed for and hoped for. And today, in many ways, because of the governor's leadership, because of the work that's been done here, that dream and that work that's been done by the community is culminating in this amazing building. And so thank you to the community for everything you've done. This amazing community. I want to thank all of my colleagues, the Town of Babylon, Supervisor Schaefer and Tony Martinez, Assemblyman Kimberly Jean-Pierre and Senator Boyle, who've continued to be incredibly supportive of this project. I see Senator Fischillo is here, who was an early supporter and somebody who worked on this project. So thank him for being here. A leader on transportation issues that we've discussed many times. This project wouldn't be happening today, I'll tell you right now, without labor and Anthony Simon, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done. I've stood out on that double track with him. I want to thank Kevin Law, who has been in Winedance and supported this project from the very beginning as co-chair of the REDC. Kevin, thank you very much for everything you've done and your leadership there. And Matt Arasich, of course, from the Building Trades Council. I'm not going to name everybody, of course. Russell Albanese, the developer here. I've often described him as a great businessman, but a developer with heart, who cares about the community. And I think that is reflected in the development here in Winedance. Thank you, Russell. But this is not the typical train station you see in the system. And it is because we have a governor who cares about the details. And if you look around here, this is all about the details. This is an extraordinary, beautiful facility. And as the governor was saying, you know, this building is more than just the train station here now. It is, and it represents an important civic structure in a new downtown that is rising up in this amazing community. And all of the different elements of this project you see would not have been possible without the support of the state and the governor. And I can't thank you enough for that, Governor. Truly. I last want to recognize the architects. I don't even know if they're here, but Peter Keller and his firm, what an amazing job. And the master developer for this whole project, Torty Gallus, their firm, and John Torty, Erica Lesti, I want to thank them as well. And Ann Stewart, I just saw shaking her head. She's been working on this project before I ever arrived here in this community. And thank you for your leadership. And so let me just say a final word. And I think my colleague Laura Curran said it well. It is really hard to get things done. What is happening here right now, this double track project, the third track project on this main line, it is transformative for this region. We will be seeing the impacts of this work, of what we're opening here today, for decades to come. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of leadership. And that's the leadership of this governor, our lieutenant governor, and I can't thank you enough. Last thank you to my colleague, Dwayne Gregory, who represents this community, has been an incredible partner and leader on this project. I want to thank him for everything he has done as well. And to Phil, I apologize, Phil Lang, Jano Lieber, very confident that your amazing track record is going to continue here of getting these things done on time. You will not be going to Utah. I'm very confident of that. And just to everyone who's been involved here, but most importantly, to the community, this is a great day for Wyandanch, but this is a great day for all of Long Island. Thank you very much.
Program